Well, look, we've already established that for you to be financially free, your current situation is you need at least $70,000 of annual passive income. Okay, so that's the goal. Okay? So in order for us to hit this passive income goal, you need net assets of at least 1.4 million. Okay? And that's the reason is if you have $1.4 million worth of real estate, and assuming you've got the right real estate, okay, it should be giving you an average at least 5% return, rental return. So 5% of 1.4 million is 70,000.
Gotcha.
Okay. So the question is, well, how are we going to make you $1.4 million? Okay. Given your current situation. So current situation is you've got 100 grand saved up. Your broker has said that you can borrow 400, 450. So that means you can buy a property around 500k ish. Okay. So how do we do that? Okay. So the most important thing is to understand is the Australian property market. If you look at it historically for the last 50 years, property prices have doubled every 7 to 10 years. And this trend will continue because of a number of reasons, which I'll get into a little bit later if you like. But assuming that the property prices will double again in the next 7 to 10 years, what you need to do is you need to buy 1.4 to 1.5 million dollars. You guys can read my handwriting of property in the next 2 to 3 years. Sorry guys can't read my handwriting. It says buy 1.4 to 1.5 million dollars of property in the next 2 to 3 years. Now, this doesn't mean with cash. Okay. So that 1.5 million dollars worth of property, it could be 90% from the bank. Okay. So the reason for that is if you bought 1.5 million dollars worth of property, just to put it into perspective, is 2 or 3 properties. Okay. And you bought that within the next 2 to 3 years, and you just sat on the property will double in the next 7 to 10 years. So that $1.5 million portfolio in 7 to 10 years will be worth $3 million. Okay, and then maybe less the original loan amount of, let's say, 1.35 million. Now you've got a portfolio
1.65.
That's 1.65. Which is more than what we need to achieve.
Beautiful.
Okay, so you understand the concept? Okay, so now the question is, how are we going to buy $1.5 million worth of property? Given your situation. So I'm going to rock this out. Okay, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do this.
Beautiful rubber.
Okay.
Where's the spray?
Alright.
It's probably even better to use paper. Do I have paper towels in here? Probably works better than that rubber.
I'll just put glitter effect on
Magic.
I think for this part, write down our starting point: 100k plus 70k PA. 100k savings plus 70k PA. So write that at the top. And that way, people can tell. Oh shit, that sounds like me. But even then, people saving 100k now is fucking hard as well. That's alright. Like a mate, 50 grand. Chuck that.
Okay. Alright. Okay. So you've got. Okay. Answer your income.
70k per year income.
70k per year. And your savings.
100k.
It's 100k.
Do you want to do age as well? Yeah, that's the age. Just make up like how old are you?
Age.
27.
27. All right. Cool. Okay. So that's your current
status
situation. Okay.
Yes,
So, so based on what your broker has already told us,
borrowing capacity.
you've got borrowing capacity, BC.
430 or something.
I think it's 450,000.
450.
450. Okay. So that means your budget is around
500.
500. Approx.
Because
you're still pay for stamp duty and all that type of stuff.
That's right.
Okay, so that 100k, 50 of it would go into the deposit.
Yeah.
But then you still got to pay, your mortgage insurance,
Yes.
your stamp duty, and
Okay.
da 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 da.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Fantastic.
So now we're shopping with a budget of around 500,000.
Okay.
Okay. So what we need to do now is we need to find you a property one. I'm going to draw a nice little house here.
Yes.
Property
Okay.
one.
Yep.
Okay. That is 500,000,
Yep.
but it's in a high growth area.
Okay.
Okay. So if we looked at just the last 2 years, right, places like Ipswich in southeast Queensland had a lot of properties that were like 400, 500,000 that are now worth $700,000.
Oh wow.
Okay, just in a span of 2 years.
Wow.
There are still markets like that across Australia where you can buy properties between 400 to 500,000 that's got double-digit growth rates. Okay, so let's say we've got you one property that's 500,000 in a high growth area,
Yep.
and we sit on it for 1 year.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
this property now could be worth 600,000.
It's pretty good growth.
Okay, that means you've got 100K in equity profit
Yeah.
in this house. So what we can now do is we can take some of that out. Maybe we can take 80K out, okay, and we put it as a deposit for property number 2.
Okay.
Okay, so we repeat the same thing. We're going to buy a high growth property
Yeah.
that is hopefully neutrally geared, so you can hold on to the property so it's not costing you money out of pocket every single month.
Yeah.
So use that 100K. We take 80K out and put a deposit, and we can buy another maybe $500,000 property, or maybe $400,000 property.
Would it make sense for me by that time, in a year's time, I could have saved up another $20,000? Would it make sense for me to add that back into this or keep that $20,000?
So if you have cash that you can use, then absolutely, because if you keep cash in the bank, it's worth nothing.
Yes. So is it smarter to use my own cash, or is it smarter to use equity, or both?
Both. Both if you can. Now, depends on your circumstances. If you want a bit of cash saved up in the bank for rainy day, do that.
Okay.
Okay. But if you've got surplus cash that you want to invest and you use it, invest it, because otherwise the cash is going to just sit there and do nothing.
Correct.
Okay.
I agree.
But assuming you don't have that, assuming we're just using what you've got to start with,
Yeah.
okay, this is how you build your portfolio.
Got it.
Okay, so property number 2 will be a 400 grand.
Yeah.
Okay, again in a high growth area.
Yeah.
Okay, high growth area, high G.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, fast forward another year's time.
Yeah.
Okay, this property could now be worth 500K. Okay, and now you've got 100K in equity here.
Yeah.
Okay, don't forget this property is still growing.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's say this property isn't growing at 100K anymore.
Slow down.
It's slowed down a little bit, but let's say this property is now worth 650.
Yeah.
Let's just say you've still got another 70K in equity there because we only took 80K out of that.
Right. Yes.
Okay, right. But so what we could do now is we can now take that 100K from property 2 and maybe 20Ks from your original property.
Yeah.
So now you've got a 100K deposit,
Yeah.
and you buy property number 3.
Okay.
Okay, and you do exactly the same thing. 500K property
Yeah.
in a high growth area.
Yeah.
Okay, fast forward another 1 year.
Yeah.
This property could now be worth 600,000.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've got 100K in equity here.
Yeah.
And then you can just rinse and repeat and keep buying property.
Right.
But let's say you stop.
Yeah.
Let's say you stop. You've got properties 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
which are worth $1.5 million
Yeah.
collectively,
Yeah.
and you just sat on it.
Yeah.
You just held it for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Your portfolio will now be worth. I'm running out of room here. Your portfolio will be worth $3 million.
Yeah.
Back to the original equation.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, and that's how you build your portfolio.
Okay. Amazing. So that's it. So what's next? What do we do next? Let's just say we have this scenario. the bank's pre-approved me, so I go and get my home loan. They pre-approved me for 450. Let's go to property one. What do we look for in property one?
Okay. So we'll focus on property one.
Yeah.
Okay. So property one. So we want to make sure we're buying it in a high growth area.
Okay.
Okay. Some place that we can get at least double-digit growth.
Okay.
Okay. In the first year.
Yeah.
And also an area where the rental income is still very attractive.
Yeah.
So that you're at least breaking even in terms of your cash flow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very dangerous to buy negative cash flow properties, even though a lot of people promote negative gearing and all that type of stuff. Negative gearing is good, but from a cash flow perspective, you have to be breaking even or has to be positive cash flow. Otherwise, you can't grow your portfolio. Okay, so focusing on number one is we'll find a property around this price range in a high growth area with decent yield, so that you can hold it for as long as possible.
Okay. And so if negative gearing doesn't allow me to grow my portfolio, why do people promote it so much? Is it because Sydney income's very high? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so people promote negative gearing to justify buying a very expensive property.
Right.
Okay, even though it's costing you money every single month. Okay, now a real investor, an experienced investor, will know the difference between a liability and an asset. So if you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki's books, his simple definition is an asset is something that puts money in your pocket every single month. A liability is something that takes away money from you every single month. Now, if you bought a property, say for $1 million, and it's costing you $500 a month, to hold on to. Is that an asset or a liability?
Well, it's a liability by definition.
That's right. But most people don't realize that. Most people still think that's an asset because they're hoping it'll go up in value, so it justifies them putting in money every single month.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's why negative gearing is so popular, because people are thinking, oh well, even though I'm subsidizing this property, at least I can write off in tax. I can psychologically make myself feel better.
Right.
And for a lot of real estate punters out there who don't know any better, they think that's the right way to do it.
Right.
But in reality, that's the wrong way to do it, because it's going to block your borrowing capacity. Because the bank's going to say, hey, what's all this money coming out of your bank account? All right? I'm not going to lend you any more money. So that's why you want to buy assets that's going to add money to your bank account, or at the very least break even.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Okay, great. So let's look at this first property. What sort of regions can we look for? Obviously, buying a $500,000 property in Sydney is a bit of a joke. I don't think that's possible anymore. So is it so bad for me to buy interstate? Like, how does that look as a Sydney investor? Do I need to fly there? Like, do I need to fly to that location and take a look at the property? How would that work for me if I wanted to buy in Queensland or Perth or Adelaide, or how do I buy these properties?
Okay, so to start off with, a lot of investors that I've spoken with, they have an emotional attachment to the process of buying the property. Which is dangerous. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. So they feel like, oh, I have to buy it in Sydney. If I live in Sydney, I have to buy it in Sydney, so at least I can drive there and have a look at it and fix problems if the problems come up.
Absolutely.
But in reality, what the hell are you gonna do? Okay, if the property's leaking, you're not gonna go fix it yourself. You need to get a plumber.
What if I'm a handyman, Bill? What if I can build stuff?
Oh yeah, okay, well good on you. But in reality, that's not gonna happen. So out of all the properties that I've purchased, I reckon there's at least 3 or 4 I've never seen.
Never seen.
Still
to this day.
To this day, never seen.
Oh shit. Okay.
And at least 70% of them I've seen once, and I've never seen again.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So you have to get out of that notion of I have to buy somewhere that I can drive to. Because I've got to have all these problems. In reality, you're going to have a property manager who's going to look after it. And all that type of stuff. And after you buy it, like you're probably never going to look at it again. Like, seriously. So as long as you can get out of that mindset of having to buy within a certain region, then it opens up to a lot of different locations across Australia, where it's still really strong in terms of growth.
Yeah.
We can look at areas in South Australia, Western Australia,
Yeah.
and Northern Queensland
Yeah.
that are still within this sort of price range.
Yeah.
That is still experiencing phenomenal growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll probably start in those regions.
Okay. And so right now, obviously, I don't have the knowledge or the time, for example, to do that research. Do I just trust that to you? Do I leave it to you? How does that process work?
Yeah. So it probably lies. We've got a really strong research team. So I've got 2 full-time researchers that analyze all the markets across Australia, both residential and commercial properties.
Okay.
So we already know what are some of the upcoming hotspots.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on your investment brief or your investment plan, we will then recommend certain areas to you. Okay. So for example, like you said, there's no point in us recommending Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane to you.
Yeah.
We'll be recommending areas in South Australia, Western Australia, Northern Queensland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long does that process take? Like, let's just say if I want to get it done within the next month or in the next 2 months or the next 3 months, like what's that time frame? Let's just say I'm ready to go today.
Yep.
How long will it take for me to have that property and own that property?
Yeah, so it will probably take you somewhere between 30 to 60 days to secure the property.
Yeah.
And then it'll probably take another 2 months for the property to settle, to be officially under your name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 4 months total, roughly, we're looking at?
3 to 4 months total.
Okay.
3 to 4 months total.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the steps that we take are specifically designed so that you know exactly what to expect.
Gotcha.
See, a lot of buyers, they waste time with other property agents because they don't have a process.
Right.
And they end up just running around in circles and not really getting to what they want to buy.
Okay.
Or they feel like they've been forced to buy a certain property because there's no process involved.
Right.
So what we do next, now that we've had the strategy session, now the next step is a financial assessment. I know you've already spoken to your broker already, but we just want to double check certain things because the interest rate's just gone up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just want to give him a call
Yeah.
and just double check that, hey, your borrowing capacity is still the same.
Okay,
Or still around similar levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so assuming the financial capacity, the borrowing capacity, beg pardon, is still great, we then move on to the next step, step number 3, which is the research session.
Okay.
So then now we're going to show you all our research, all our data, all our reports, based on your budget and based on the outcome that you want.
And so how many properties would you usually show me in that session room?
So the research session, we're not showing you properties.
Oh, okay.
We're showing you locations.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So show you all the research based on things like vacancy rates, population projection, supply forecasts, infrastructure spending, job creation, and a bunch of other things. So we track about 13 different data points.
Okay. Wow.
And then we analyze all this across all the suburbs across Australia, and then we will know that there'll be at least maybe 3 to 5 locations that's going to suit what you're looking for.
Right.
Okay, so then we'll show you all the research across these 3 to 5 locations, and then you can then come back to me and let me know, hey, Will, I prefer locations B and D.
Oh, what's the difference there? Do I just go, hey, that looks like it's close to the beach, I want that one? Or do I go, hey, look, that house looks prettier than that one? How would that, like, what makes me make that good decision?
Okay, so it comes down to personal preference.
Okay, so at that stage is personal preference.
At that stage is personal preference,
Right.
and what is relatable to you.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. Okay, so if I show you research somewhere in Perth,
Yeah.
and somewhere in Adelaide,
Yeah.
okay, because you've never been to Perth, you might not be able to relate to a lot of the facts
Okay.
that I'll be showing you.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been to Adelaide.
I have actually.
Okay, you have, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I can relate to what Will's saying about the train line,
Right.
about the jobs,
Yeah.
about where the airport is,
Yeah.
in comparison to where the suburb is,
Right.
and all that type of stuff. So now you're like, oh, I can actually appreciate this location because of my own past experiences.
Right. So at that stage, once you've done all the logical research and the factual research, and it comes down to the emotional stage of which property to buy, it ultimately doesn't really matter. It just depends on my personal preference at that stage. Right?
Well, that's right. So it's not so much emotional, but it's more like what's relatable.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you.
Or it could be a preference.
Right.
It could also be a preference. So it might, it could be a difference between a a suburb that's 5 minutes from the beach versus something that's 5 minutes to the mountains.
Yes, got you.
Okay. In reality, there's no difference.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to your personal preference.
Right. Whether I like the beach or the mountains better.
Whatever.
Makes sense.
Whatever. But out of those 3 to 5 locations that we'll show you, you're probably going to like at least 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll make more sense to you.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can brag to your friends and families about
because
you know that there's a good story to tell your friends and family about.
Gotcha.
Okay. So let's say you chose 2 locations.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll go and find properties in those 2 locations that you've selected.
Yeah.
Based on the criteria that we've just established.
Okay.
Okay. And that process could take 2 or 3 weeks, depending on if we find anything decent.
Yeah.
So once we've found a bunch of properties that we believe ticks all the boxes, it could be 2 or 3 options or 4, depending on how many we can find. We'll present them to you.
Right.
Okay. So we'll present you everything. So we'll show you the layout, the photos, the cash flow analysis, the projections. The streets and blah blah. Basically everything that you need to know to make a sound decision.
Okay.
And then you will then say, hey, Will, I like property A and property B.
Yeah.
Then the next step for us then is to submit an offer on your behalf and start the negotiation process.
Got you.
Now, we might not get offer and acceptance on all of them.
Yeah.
But we might get offer and acceptance on option B.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, great. So the vendors accepted your offer. We've done some hard negotiations. We finally got a price that is great. Okay. We've saved you some money. And the next step is now then we'll do our due diligence. So we'll do all the building and pest control inspections, make sure there's no leaks and no termites and structurally sound. And obviously the solicitor now has to go through the paperwork.
Got you.
Make sure everything's fine.
Yeah.
Assuming it all plans out.
And you cover all of this, right? I don't need to. I'm hands off at this stage. You're covering.
You're completely hands off.
Okay.
At this stage, we do all that for you, all the reports for you, all the inspections for you.
Okay.
So assuming it comes back positive, there's nothing wrong with the building, contract's fine, then we'll say, hey, Alan, go ahead and sign a contract.
Yeah.
Then you sign a contract, you pay the deposit, and then you wait 6 to 8 weeks for the settlement.
Yeah.
There's nothing you need to do at that stage.
Yeah.
The banks will do their thing.
Yeah.
And then when it comes settlement day, the banks will then give them the money and you'll give them your deposit. Done. Now you're in the property.
Wow.
Yep. And then we'll organise property management for you.
Yeah.
So look after day-to-day affairs of the property. There's nothing you need to worry about.
Okay. Wow. And so that's just ongoing for this property.
As long as you want to own the property.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And buy a property.
Well, fantastic. Well, that's pretty good. I think we should go ahead and let's see how we go with this process and let's find property number 1. I think it'll be a fun journey.
Let's find property number 1.
Let's find property number 1. Let's
do
it.
Let's do it, bro.